What is happening, people? Welcome back to my channel. Here's the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast. I love doing this show twice a week, joined by fantastic guests. As always, this time we're reviewing Game Week 15. So let's introduce them one by one in terms of where they are as well on the table. So, the bigger kind of club in terms of where they're positioned in the table is the fan that we'll bring on first. So we'll start with Sophie, who plays with today, of course, being an Arsenal fan, but always good to have Sophie on. How are you doing? You doing well, Sophie? Harry, I think you've got some connection issues. It's fine. No worries. We'll come back to you. Also bring all of you on. Hey, we'll do that way while we've got some technical issues. Phil, Spurs fan in the meantime. How you doing, Phil?
Yeah, not too badly, mate. Just a bit tired. Got back from work about 2 hours ago, so had to jump on this as soon as I got back. But yeah, pleased to be back again.
Yeah, pleased to have you on. So thank you so much. Sophie, I believe you've got those issues sorted. I mean, Spurs haven't leapfrogged Arsenal on the table.
Sorry about that. It just went off.
You all good?
Yeah, good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on again.
I'm good, thank you. Thanks very much for coming on. Apologies about the circumstances and Arsenal losing. It's a rare thing this season.
Yeah, I'm surprised, to be fair.
Very rare. Thank you, though. And Lewis, big thanks to you being a West Ham fan. I mean, not a disastrous week for you again. That's something that's probably rare to say this year, but I hope you keep well, mate.
No, it's all good. I don't think I've been on this podcast since we've won, so I don't get that sort of introduction. It's good to be back on. Only missed the game. Only missed it last week because I was at the game. So it's good to be back.
Absolutely good to have you too. Thank you. I'm Harry Scarfe, your host as always for tonight. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and make sure to follow all our wonderful guests across social media. Find out at the end where you can find them, so stay tuned as well for that. Let's talk Game Week 15 just gone then, because of big games in it. I mean, there was a lot of expectation going into the game week, and it's fair to say, boy, you did it, deliver. We'll start with then Aston Villa versus Arsenal. Sophie, I'm going to have to start with you. Firstly, your reaction to the game and the defeat as an Arsenal fan, to concede right at the death. I mean, it's got to hurt, isn't it, knowing that you're one simple clearance really away from getting a point in that game?
Yeah, it is. It's frustrating. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we've been on the other end where we've scored at the end. So, and we know now what it feels like, when it happened. So it's weird for me because I wouldn't have been happy with a draw, but I think under the circumstances with how the game is going, I might have taken that. I think we have dropped a lot of points at the moment. I mean, Chelsea we drew, so we have drawn a few games lately. I think, to be honest with you, with this result, I think we always struggle against Villa. Villa Park's never an easy place to go to. I think Villa deserve to win, and I've got to give them that credit. I think if it would have been a draw, they probably have been quite frustrated because they had some great chances in that game. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these players, I've noticed, I think players are getting tired. We're missing Gabriel. I think Gabriel's leave is a big reason why we're struggling at the moment. Obviously, Mosquera as well. He's not here. He's injured. So, yeah, I think we just have to pick ourselves up from this. But Villa, for me, I think they deserved it. They turned up, and I just think we really struggled. And credit to Emery, credit to Villa, because they're doing really good in the league at the moment.
So did you find it concerning that, you did have a 7-point lead? It could have been a 9-point lead, if you've got that job done against Chelsea, but in the end now it's cut down to 2. Is that concern just how quickly a decent, comfortable margin goes down to, fine margins determined by a game?
Yeah, I'm worried about this because every sort of week it'd been gradually going down. Obviously, when you drop points to Chelsea, I think with the Sunderland one, I could accept because we'd won, we've not drawn in ages, and you're not going every game. But I think at the moment it's going down a lot, and it puts pressure on us now again. Because I mean, the Wolves game we have coming up, I mean, we should win that, but it's like Man City are sort of breathing down our necks. And I think if you're Man City, you're probably in the best place because I do think we'll drop more points. And I think Man City at the moment, they're in a great place. So, yeah, it's a bit of a nerve-wracking time dropping so many points because, like you said, we're at one point we're 7 points, and I was hoping that we would continue winning. But yeah, I just hope we can go on a good run now in December, and hopefully we just have to hope Man City can drop points so we can keep going. But it's tough, really. I mean, it's only December. people were saying to me, "Oh my God, Arsenal are going to win the league," and I'm like, it's still early to say for me. Like I can't say right now, but yeah, I just hope we can pick up points again and start winning.
Okay, thank you, Sophie. Appreciate that. Lewis, how much do you think that Arsenal's struggles in the last couple of games, how much do you think of that is down to injuries? I just think you look at the end of that game, and I really honestly think it's just one clearance, from that Arsenal defender, and they're probably okay. But do you think it's Saliba or Gabriel in that situation? They defend a little bit better and end up getting a 1-1 draw?
I think it could have been. Obviously, any injuries is going to hamper any team. All teams will struggle if they have injuries. You've got to make changes. Those defenders aren't necessarily used to the same call-outs that the goalkeeper would tend to give to them, and there could have been that element of communication better within that box. It's all if, buts, and maybes. You never know. If Gabriel or Saliba would have been there, maybe they would have cleared it. But it also just looked like a sheer moment of panic from the Arsenal players of just try and get the ball and hoof it. You saw anybody who even got anywhere near the ball just threw themselves at the ball and tried to clear it. And same with Villa, they were just trying to hit anything they possibly could and on goal. So it's sort of a scrappy one, but it's hard to say if an injury could have really changed everything there. But potentially it could have been different. But it's one of those things we'll just never know.
You just never know, exactly that, and you have to get on with the task in hand, even though it's frustrating from Arsenal's point of view. Thank you for that. Phil, Aston Villa then. high-flying Aston Villa, absolutely flying. What can they achieve this year? I never like to generally put kind of a limit on what clubs can achieve, but Aston Villa look in a really strong position to have a good season. You wouldn't have thought you'd been saying that, would you, at the start of the season?
At the start of the season, they were very much down the bottom of the league. They hadn't scored within their first however many games it was, and then they turn it around to the point where they're now beating league leaders Arsenal, which is something that I did call. I think a lot of us called it last week, saying that if it's going to happen where Arsenal drop points, it will be against Villa. The way that they've turned the team around and started playing as a unit is far beyond me, considering where they were last season. And they were kind of up and down, and especially at the start of the season as well. But I would say the way in which the squad is now working together, Ollie Watkins has been getting on the score sheet recently. I believe he got 2 against Brighton. But it's just Villa Park. It's written all over. Going there, I think, is a difficult task for anyone, and even Arsenal. The squad that they've got, you can't put it down. And to go to Villa Park, and even with the squad that they've got, and still lose is fascinating, really. What Villa have in comparison to Arsenal is, and that's not me putting Villa down in any way, but they do look really, really good at the moment.
They do, absolutely. I don't see that slowing down either. Thank you. On to the next game then. Everton, Forest, of course, Sean Dyche. Now, Forest manager facing his old club. I thought this would be a really tight game. Of course, performances are never always the same anyway, as statistics or as an end result as well. But it went 3-0 to Everton, the home side at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Lewis, I'll come back to you. When you just see the scoreline first before we dissect the game, to take you by surprise? Of course, you know that Forest under Sean Dyche, you would think would be defensively, well-drilled side, because Sean Dyche teams always are. So to ship 3 goals, I'm sure he'd be really disappointed with that.
No, I agree with you completely. And I actually thought it would have been a really close game given both managers.
Yes.
Both are very defensive-minded managers. So I didn't really expect it to be 3-0. And to be honest, if you watch the game, I think 3-0 was generous. It probably could have been a lot more from Everton. It could have been a very, very ugly day for Forest. I don't really know what went wrong for Dyche again. Is it simply being... It was a question of simply being outplayed. A Sean Dyche side went to Anfield and conceded less goals. They shouldn't really be conceding this many to a side like Everton if they're really, trying to push on and make some progression. I think this is one that will hurt Forest and Dyche and probably go back to the drawing board.
100% agree with you. I think it's quite baffling that they can concede this many goals. Because Lewis, I'll stick with you. Everton aren't a all that, are they, going forward? Barry before that hadn't scored. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but the Everton attack doesn't scare me at all. I think they've been struggling to score goals this season. And then you get Forest, who've definitely improved defensively since Dyche's come in, but shipped 3 goals. It just doesn't seem right, does it, on paper?
No, it doesn't seem right at all. I don't really know what. It's one of those where you just don't know what went wrong. In the element of Everton haven't really had many games where they've put 3 past people. Moyes' sides in general don't put 3 past people. That's not how he plays football. It's very rare to see that. Maybe he'll get 1 or 2 at most. So I don't really know. I think for them, they'll see it as a bad day at the office and try and get themselves going on the push for Christmas.
I agree with that. I mean, it's key, isn't it, down the bottom? Sophie, I'll come to you. I mean, this will be bruising, I'm sure, for Sean Dyche, because as you will know, your teams in and around the bottom, picking up points here, there, and everywhere. Just spoke to Lewis there as a West Ham fan. They are picking up a lot more points now under Nuno, and they're not the only side to do so. We've seen Leeds the last couple of games in this week have picked up more points. So, do you think if you're Sean Dyche, you're not in the Forest, you're worried? You conceding 3 goals to a side that really struggling to score generally?
Yeah, I completely agree as well, because you wouldn't ever have predicted this scoreline. I thought it would have been like a draw. I thought it would have been quite a closer result. I think for Forest, they just need to try their best to stay up, and it doesn't make them feel much better losing like that. Especially against Everton, I think this would have, on paper, as you said, Harry, I think it looks like would have been quite a closer result. I think for Forest, I think you just sort of have to put these things behind you and keep moving, because every game, you never know what can happen in the Premier League. It's so unpredictable. But I think for Forest, I think it probably will worry them a bit. I think Sean Dyche will be a bit worried about the performance. But like I said, you just have to pick yourself up from this and, try and stay up, try the best to stay up, because it is very tough down there in the relegation zone.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. I think you're right on that one. You need to pick up as many points as you can, because otherwise you will fall behind. I come to you, Phil, on Everton then, because you've spoken about Forest. I mean, they've been good at home. A couple of exceptions to that. Of course, we're one of the sides that did beat them the first team actually to win at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, so it's quite a nice achievement for Spurs. But yeah, what can Everton do this year? Because I look at their team, I look at their manager. When I say look at the team, I'm thinking about players like Grealish and Dyer, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, and I think they can push for Europe. But then every time I think that, they then go and struggle often away from home and lose quite badly. So for Everton, do you think they could challenge for Europe, or is there some improvement needed before then, or investment in January?
I think Everton challenging for Europe. I think all of us will collectively say that Champions League and Europa League is too far of a push for Everton, but Conference League is probably within their reach. I wouldn't say yet. I mean, it depends on how their January window goes, but if it's not this year, this season, it will definitely be next. I mean, look what it will do for them. I mean, what it did for us, we had the new stadium being built, and we pushed on, went through a rough patch, and I think they'd do the same. I mean, they've got a very good squad. I mean, they've got Grealish in there, who they'll probably go and buy, in my opinion. The fans love him that much. He fits into Moyes' squad. Iliman Ndiaye as well, baller. That I think one of the best players in the league this season. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall as well. You've got, I think, Jared Branthwaite is in that squad as well. So even though their defence isn't probably one of the ones that's in the limelight all that much, I mean, to beat Forest 3-0 at home, to which I think a lot of people had Forest on for, very, very good result. And I think getting results like that, especially against teams like Forest that are well defensively drilled, well set up, I don't think Europe is out of the question. It'd be a push, but I think if they have a good January window, they can definitely push for Conference League this season.
Exactly. No, I fully agree with you with that. I think you're fair to say that. Thank you, Phil, for that. Next game, then Newcastle v Burnley. You could argue importance. I mean, of course, every game is important to both teams, but what I mean by this is Newcastle are not where they want to be in the Premier League table, and Burnley as well. A few defeats before this, and they will know that they could capitalise maybe on Newcastle's struggles and woes, in particular problems we've seen at the moment. Not really at St James's Park though, so Burnley probably went into this with little expectation. Sophie, we'll start with you on this one. I mean, for Newcastle, do you think it's all about the result, or do you think they analyse the performance and go, look, we conceded late through a penalty, it could have been a lot worse? How do you think Newcastle fans are feeling, and how should they feel after that?
I think it doesn't matter in a way your performance, you want to be performing at your best. But I think for Newcastle, as you said, they've had a bit of a tough season. They've obviously, started off quite bad, to 12th at the moment. I think Newcastle probably want to get that Europa League spot, Champions League spot. They want to be building up that table. So I think the result is probably the most important thing. They've got some really great players. I know they've lost Isaac, but I think they've got a good squad, and maybe in January if they make some investments, they'll do even better. But I think at this stage, it's about the result really. I mean, it's not ideal to concede like that at the end, but I think getting the result matters, because they just need to be in a better position than what they are right now.
100%. Sophie, thank you for that. Phil, I'll come to you. Focus on Newcastle initially. I mean, do you think this is one of those that you just get over the line and you move on? You don't analyse the game, you don't analyse the performance, and because Newcastle aren't where they want to be, are they? In the Premier League table, they want to be a lot higher in the European places. And the reality is, even after this win, they're still 12th position only in the Premier League. But it is worth noting it's tight. Do you think that's important for people like Newcastle fans to realise that a couple of wins, if that, maybe even one win, and they find themselves all of a sudden easily in that top six?
I think it doesn't matter, like the poor form as well. But as you rightfully said, like the gap between, I think, 12th, 13th in the league, between there and 5th or 6th, somewhere like that. I think it's only 8 points, 5 to 8 points, something like that. So Newcastle being in the position that they're in now is not brilliant, but we're not even at Christmas yet. We've still got, I think, is this the last game week before Christmas? No, we got 2 more. I think maybe I may be wrong.
Yeah, a couple more.
Couple more. So there's points to be picked up. I mean, the Burnley game though, I think it's just one of those where you grind out a result. I mean, given the squad that Newcastle have playing at home, 2-1 doesn't look favourable on them, even though it's a win, considering the players that they have, and they're playing at home. But a win is a win at the end of the day. You take the 3 points, you move on to the next game, and use that momentum to get you higher up the table, get more points, and hopefully for them push for Europe, whether that's Europa or Champions League.
Feel the same, 100%. Thank you. Lewis, sticking with this game, but focusing on Scott Parker and his Burnley side. I mean, where do they go from here? It does look pretty bleak. How do you view this week their chances of staying up? Has anything changed? Do you think they are down and, when I say down and out, so of course mathematically they're nowhere near that, but the point is, in terms of like momentum and the feel around the club, does it feel like a little bit of an uphill battle?
I think it does feel like an uphill battle, but I would like to point out that I think Burnley are quite unfortunate against Newcastle. If we look at the way the game formed out to be, Newcastle scored a goal directly from a corner, which is, not to take it away from him because he's a brilliant player, but I don't exactly think Guimaraes deliberately managed to do that. I'd also like to add that across the game, Burnley had more bigger chances than Newcastle. It's just they didn't score them. We saw towards the end of the game that Burnley had a great opportunity to get an equaliser, free header, but a bit of miscommunication has cost them there. It's one of those where I think Newcastle will walk away being fortunate and happy that the game's done. And I think Burnley, they walk away with a loss, but they might be quite, not content with the performance, but might be happy in the aspect of they could see their team go to St James's and create numerous chances that they perhaps could have salvaged a draw from if a bit of luck had been on their side. It's not all doom and gloom. I think if they can pick up some points in and around, and just keep building up some sort of momentum, they could start to claw back teams like Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and Leeds for those final 2 relegation spots. And, obviously we can't say any teams going out now at the Premier League, but we can look at them and say that maybe they can draw the fight for as long as possible and keep it going rather than being down and out at Christmas. If they pick up another win or maybe another win or 2 before the new year, I'm sure a lot of people will be considering Burnley to potentially stay up.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. No need to jump to conclusions. But to tell you what, Lewis, is there any possibility that Scott Parker loses his job for the end of the year? Do they look at it and go, look, okay, let's try something. It's not working. Let's bring in one of these managers. And it wouldn't be someone like this, but you know what I mean? Someone like a Roy Hodgson or Sam Allardyce, someone that's maybe proven, trusted to do a job and keep them up and then cut their losses at the end of the year. I mean, I'm not sure it'd be necessarily the wisest thing to do, but will they consider it?
I mean, we saw Leeds a few years ago consider it, and it didn't go very well. I would like to see a team in a relegation fight trust their manager. I would really, really like to see it, because unless I'm incredibly wrong, there's been very few managers that have come up and actually fought really hard right until the end, and they've been given the time. I know Rob Edwards was with Luton, and conveniently, they were the team that nearly stayed up that year.
Yeah.
Right. The point being is they actually had a chance at staying up, right? So it does go to show that time can be given. I mean, if we look back at Leicester, I personally believe Leicester's sacking Brendan Rodgers when they did was a ludicrous decision, because he knew the club. He knew what to do. And I think Burnley are in the same situation. Scott Parker, he knows the players. He knows what he can do. It wasn't the same team he's had last year, but just give him the time. They're only 5 points away from being clear of the relegation zone. It's not like they're in a position of Wolves currently or something. They've got 3 wins this season, and if they added 1 or 2 more, people would be putting them in the conversation. They potentially stay up. So I believe Parker shouldn't be sacked, but you never know.
No, you're right. I feel the same as you. I think it'd be nice to see that little bit of trust in football, something that isn't there. Time as well for managers. Thank you. Let's move on. Man City, Sunderland ended 3-0 City. Sophie, we'll come back to you. I mean, City, firstly, the potential biggest challengers to Arsenal. I mean, some people are not even talking about Villa. I mean, you just don't know what they can do. But City on paper seem the obvious candidate to stop a Arsenal title.
Yeah, I think if anyone's going to stop Arsenal, it's definitely Man City. I think Man City, like I said before, I think they go through a phase where they start the league a bit slow. They've obviously dropped points at the start of the season, and they picked up their form now, and honestly flying. I mean, for this game, Sunderland have actually done quite good at getting points off teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, and I was hoping they would do that. But Man City, I think they're definitely our biggest rivals. I mean, it's difficult with Chelsea as well. I'm not sure Chelsea are there yet, but Villa as well. I mean, do you put them in the conversation as well? It's difficult. But I think Man City are probably the ones that I see as our biggest rivals at the moment, because their form at the moment is honestly just amazing, and I just don't think they're going to stop winning with how they're playing.
No, absolutely that. And Sophie, sticking with City, but in this game, I mean, how do you think they perform? Should the scoreline be bigger, do you think?
I mean, they really dominated that game. I thought they were amazing. Obviously, it's not nice to see now when we've lost, but yeah, I think that scoreline could have been, 5-0, could have gone either way. With the scoreline, it honestly, Man City, I thought they were amazing. They, like I said, they're in form at the moment. They've got some really great players, and yeah, they're doing amazing. Like I said, they go through the stage of the season where they are honestly on fire and they can't stop winning. I think Sunderland, I think it's difficult for Sunderland to I think they struggle to keep up with Man City in this game. I think Man City, their quality they just have I felt was a bit too much for Sunderland to handle. I think they really struggled in this game. But I think the scoreline could have been higher, actually. I mean, I watched the game, watched the second half, and I think Man City did have a lot of chances. So it really could have been a lot higher than 3-0, to be honest.
It could have been. I agree with you, Sophie. Thank you very much. Phil, I'll come to you. I mean, is it just me, or I don't want to be negative because City have got the win, they played well, etc. But I still don't trust them defensively. There's a couple of instances in this game where they give the ball away and they nearly concede. Donnarumma saved them once at least, if not twice. And we saw like Fulham, they concede, a lot of goals, and we've just seen, if you look at across the last 6, they've conceded a lot of goals to previous Pep Guardiola teams. Previous Pep Guardiola Manchester City seasons, I should say. They've conceded a lot more goals. Is that an area that City should address? Is it reason for concern if they want to win the title? They need to, tighten up defensively.
I would definitely say so. I mean, as the old saying goes, that the defense wins you titles, and I think if you have a very, very good base layer in a defense, then you can build upon that. And I feel like with City, they've looked at all these attacking options. They've obviously got Haaland in now, Marmoush. They've brought up academy graduates like Foden, plenty more attacking threat, and even within the midfield. But the defensive side has definitely fallen away a little bit, and I don't know if that's got anything to do with Rodri not giving them that protection in front of the back line. But I think given the result, albeit it's a 3-0 win for City, I mean, this is why we were thinking it could go either way of City winning or Sunderland winning, purely because of how many goals City have conceded as of late. I mean, their form in terms of winning is fine, but in terms of conceding, it is quite poor. And I think, as we discussed not too long ago, I think if they get a few defenders in within the January window, even in the summer window, if it's not this season that they can stop Arsenal winning the title, I think they could easily challenge next season alongside Arsenal, alongside Liverpool, if they get themselves sorted out. So I think, yeah, defensively, that is their biggest problem. But for the rest of the squad, I mean, I can't really fault anything within that squad apart from the defence itself.
Very good going forward. Phil, thank you for that. Lewis, I want to talk about Sunderland then. Is it a case of just dusting themselves off and, kind of going again, forgetting about this, moving on? It's always going to be a tough game. But also, second question in there for you. Do you think a lot of, this looks disappointing, but I think it's because of the way that Sunderland have been performing and because Sunderland have got results. If you said this at the start of the year, you wouldn't have really, taken too much note. But it's now that Sunderland are playing well that this looks bad for them, doesn't it? It's credit to them, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it'll be a dust off the shoulder. Very few teams go to the Etihad and, win straight away, especially with City being in relatively decent form as of late. It's one of those where I think the manager will try to tell the players not to look at the scoreline as 3-0 and look at what it could have been in the element. It could have been a lot closer as well. City were quite a dominant side throughout this game, but I thought Sunderland had a few good chances. Xhaka had a great opportunity at the post.
Yes.
And Isidore, as you mentioned, had a chance which Donnarumma saved them out of. And if you put those two away, it's 3-2. Obviously football's not played like that because City hit the bar. I think Foden hit the bar. And there are a few chances they could have scored as well. But it was one of those where they did create something. It wasn't that they just sat back, they didn't have a shot on target and it was all doom and gloom. They had an effort or two, and if they went in, the whole perspective of the game could have changed. Pep could have tried to go a bit more defensively and it would have affected the team. We all don't really know. But it's one of those, I think it could have been a lot worse. So just take it on the chin. Most promoted sides, when they come up, they look at their fixture list they get given at the beginning of the season. They go, right, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, they're all wipe those off the table. Where else can we pick up points? I think their only little bit of worry will be the fact that they've been on such good form, and it's sort of, they've not been losing games very frequently. City is their first loss in quite a while since that Fulham game, but they've all levelled out, and I think they would have wished to not suffer such a heavy defeat before the derby against Newcastle. So I think that's their probably biggest concern.
Thank you. Next game, Spurs, Brentford, then 2-0 win for Spurs. Phil, got to start with you. I mean, a rare home victory for Tottenham, isn't it? Only just second of the season. I mean, feels good to get back to winning ways. I mean, we haven't won a lot at all, have we, recently, but especially not at home.
I think it was August was the last time we won at home in the Premier League anyway. So yeah,
Yeah.
it felt weird. I mean, going into the game, I mean, it was like, I don't know, Brentford have been good as we've spoken about recently, but they didn't turn up. Like, I was expecting a lot more. I mean, obviously we couldn't watch it. I mean, unless you got a dodgy Fire Stick, which I'm not going to say any more on, but
We don't
um
promote that.
um but like, even checking the stats and whatnot, I mean, over 90 minutes, it was domination on our part, and I thought, is this actually Spurs that are playing? Like, this doesn't happen at home. So, to a 2-0 victory, albeit 2-0, I think there were very good chances within the game that we could have had more. But you got to look at all the positives in terms of a home win. Hopefully that kicks on. Xavi Simon's getting his first goal, which is, I think, every Spurs fan wanted, which now gives him confidence. Richarlison scoring again. It just looks very good. And obviously we play tonight, Champions League. So hopefully we now can build some momentum. The fans can get behind Thomas Frank and we can actually push on and get results that we need and climb the table and get Europe this season. Um, and at least make it deep into a domestic competition, even the Champions League itself. I think it's a positive in the way that we played, and I think that's the best that we've played under Thomas Frank, in my opinion, so far.
As a Spurs fan, I agree. Phil, last week, do you think we turned a corner then, as a club in this season, because we got that 2-2 draw with Newcastle. We come back twice. I'd argue that not many teams get a result as a James's Park, especially not if they go behind twice. I think we showed real resilience and character to get a result. Could have been more, of course. Decisions and etc. go our way. That's football. It doesn't happen. But then Brentford, a better performance and a home victory.
Oh, I would say that we weren't expecting Brentford to be that poor, but the confidence that we got from the Newcastle game is obviously a factor that you've got to play in there. But I would say the team selection was probably one of the best so far this season. I believe he played Bentancur and Gray together. I may be wrong in saying that, but it looked like they both, well, Bentancur had a lot more freedom and Gray was very comfortable
Yeah.
playing with Charlison up top with Kolo Muani off the left and Kudus off the right. Everything just looked good. And I think just now that we've got that win at home, and if we win tonight, I think that's a real stepping stone in turning a corner and
Yeah.
pushing on. And I think that starts good home form.
Totally agree. No, I agree with that, Phil. Thank you very much. Lewis, we'll come back to you. Before we get on to Brentford, Xavi Simmons, Phil mentioned him there. He got a goal and assist. Do you think this could really kickstart his Tottenham career? Because it's been a bit slow and yet to see the best of him for sure.
No, he's a fantastic player, and I think a lot of people always knew that. He is a great player. He's been brilliant in the Bundesliga, and coming to Spurs, he's been a bit underwhelming. But that's all players. They're going to take a while to adapt to the Premier League, at least a few games. Some people say a season even. He got a goal, got an assist, and across the game, he looked all over the pitch. He looked very comfortable in the role that he was being played in, which was, as you said, probably due to the lineup and the people that he had around him. It's probably sort of the first time he's had those quote unquote tools around him to, be able to properly facilitate himself. And the goal he scored, what a goal it was. Brilliant run.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, 100%. He created himself. He did lose the ball initially, but he worked so hard to win it by solo run and goal. You're absolutely right, Lewis. Thank you. Sophie, on Brentford, though, where do they go from here? I think it's worth noting, isn't it, that they don't travel well. This is not an anomaly. It feels right in terms of, yes, Brentford didn't turn up, and that is generally not expected. But away from home, they've got a problem. And how big of a problem is it? And do you think they need to address that now?
Yeah, it's weird. Brentford was obviously they're 14th at the moment, and they don't want to sort of fall any short down at the moment. They do want to stay up and finish in a high position in the league, and it's tough, isn't it? I think with Tottenham, I think they needed that win, but I think Brentford as well, away from home, they are struggling a lot at the moment. I think something they probably need to address as well. But I think they are struggling a bit this season with their form as well. But I think think it's hard for Brentford at the moment. You have to sort of put these games behind you, work on what you're not doing right, and be improved defensively if they can. But yeah, a difficult result for them, definitely.
100%. Yeah, Keith Andrews' reason to be concerned, their away form and being dragged into potentially what happens below them, but the home form is keeping them well away from that at the moment. Talking of teams that need to avoid being in the bottom, Bournemouth, who would have thought we'd say it? What's going on with them at the moment? But they do get a 0-0 draw against Chelsea. We'll find out from you guys whether you think they'll be happy with that or not. Lewis, I'll kick it off with you. I'm going to ask you exactly that. Bournemouth, will they be happy with the draw? Would they have taken it beforehand, and would they take it after what they've seen in this 90 minutes? Who's a better side?
Definitely Bournemouth, and that's got to have a full stop at the end of it. I thought that maybe at the beginning of the game, I think if you asked a Bournemouth fan, would you have taken a point before the game, and they probably would have said yes. But if you look at the game and you watch it and how it was going, it was really, really underwhelming from Chelsea, I have to say. I thought Bournemouth were excellent. They had numerous chances across both halves. Obviously, they got the early goal, Semenyo, but offside. And if you just look at the highlights even, all it was just Bournemouth over and over. And Chelsea, they look lacklustre. And unfortunately for Bournemouth, they weren't able to really, get the grips of that entirely and grab all the points up for grabs. But, considering how they've been these past few games, I think they'll look at that game and think maybe now this can be a little bit of a stepping stone to get back into some good form.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you're right. I think Bournemouth were the better team as well in the game. Sophie, can I get your thoughts on this? I mean, it does look like, doesn't it, a better result for Chelsea on paper? Is that what Chelsea needed after a couple of sticky results to kind of grind out a draw and move on?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, for Chelsea, when Arsenal played Chelsea, I was thinking, they've got some great players. Are they sort of tied to contenders Chelsea at the moment? But they've obviously had some bad results. I think Bournemouth, like we said, they were really good. I know Bournemouth are now in 13th and they were a lot higher before, but I think it's a tough game. So I think if you're Chelsea, you'd probably want to win this game, but I think you'd probably take a draw considering that Bournemouth are pretty good in that game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you. Phil, you got anything to add about this game?
I just saw this from a mile off. I can't lie. I think it was on the last week's preview. I said this is nailed
0-0.
On for a 0-0 or a 1-1.
You just said that.
I should have gone with 0-0, and I was surprised when I saw it. I was like, no way, I've just predicted that right. But I think it shows a lot on Bournemouth. I mean, they just kept going and going and going. I think Chelsea do have problems when Caicedo isn't in the team. He adds a lot to it, and when he's not there, they do look very poor. So that's probably an area for them to focus on in the window. To think, well, if Caicedo is suspended or if he's out injured for a lengthy period of time, who do we have that is trusted of a similar skill set that we can bring into this team that will bring the same, if not more, what he can do for us? So I think Chelsea still have a lot to learn. I mean, they've got a young squad, and I think that's maybe a reason why they're not really within that title race. I think give it a few years and they'll be title contenders. But yeah, poor performance from Chelsea, and as I've mentioned a few times now, that they're inconsistently inconsistent. They are becoming that team that they just get a really good win one week, draw, and then draw but play absolutely shocking football, and it makes no sense. So I don't know what's going on with Chelsea, but something needs to be done about Caicedo when he's not playing.
Good shout. Very, very good shout. I mean, they've got a discipline problem, haven't they? Like, you wouldn't believe they have to sort that out. They didn't get a red card, though, to be fair, in this one. Thank you. Oh, Leeds then against Liverpool. I mean, I'm keen to get onto this one because I'm wary it might take a little bit of time. 6 goals at Ellen Road. I mean, wow. I think it just sums up the feeling around both clubs at the moment that things are so unpredictable. They're so topsy-turvy almost. Lewis, I'll kick it off with you. I don't really know how to begin. I'm all this for planning and stuff. But I looked at this game and thought, I'm going to leave this one blank. I don't even know where to start to get sucked into something different. But I suppose to get your thoughts overall, I mean, for Leeds, I mean, jubilation, right?
For sure, it was a very good result for Leeds. You know, on the back of that victory at Chelsea, which many people didn't expect, including myself. They then played Liverpool, and you know, despite Liverpool's form, they still have been a good team. They still have good assets. They've got great players, which is exactly what this game showed. It's 3-3, and it's 3-3 for a reason. A game of goals, mistakes, comical errors, and it pretty much just summarises, as you said very well, summarises both teams at the minute. A lot of fight and a lot of issues. You know, to go 2-0 down and, you know, fight back is not something that a lot of teams can do. Usually they go 2-0 down, they lay low. But Ellen Road this season, Leeds have been very, very impressive. So to see them come back is great for them, not for someone who's hoping that they could have a relegation fight. But in terms of overall viewing, it was a brilliant game to watch, very intense, and I'm sure a few more mistakes will be touched up on.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Lewis, we'll stick with you actually, if you don't mind. And we'll focus on Leeds for now, and we will get into Liverpool. I mean, is that the literally like dream week for Daniel Farke and Leeds? Has he really saved his job? 4 points in 2 big games.
Yeah, I think he definitely has saved his job in a way. I did say that a few weeks ago. I thought he was in a very rough position with the upcoming games he had. And he's proven me wrong completely. Goes to show that sometimes fans don't really know what they're talking about. But they had a great result against Chelsea. They had a draw against Liverpool. And they've been very, very impressive. If they can continue this form somewhat into the new year, maybe pick up a point here and there, he'll be in a good place. And I'm sure he'll be safe at Leeds.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And we do want to get on to Salah's comments. I think he's absolutely worthy of discussion. But before we do that, Sophie, for Liverpool, I mean, they just must be kicking themselves. A game like this, 3 points at Ellen Road would have been huge, but how do you sum up the feeling amongst Liverpool fans? I mean, it's just, with this game in particular, it's got to be frustration, isn't it? I mean, it's just a really poor result, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, the first half, I did watch all the game actually. The first half I thought was quite flat from both sides, to be fair. I think Liverpool had a bit more of the ball, but I think going to second half, Liverpool started great. They scored 2 goals, and you're thinking to yourself, it's going to be a comfortable Liverpool win now. And I think what changed it was definitely that Konate penalty. I think he definitely messed that up in a little way. I think Liverpool had to defend better with the goals they conceded, but I think Liverpool as a club, with the Mo Salah thing, everything that's going on, I think they're a bit of a mess at the moment, and in the league they're not where they should be, and that was a chance for them to really get up that table, because I think if they had won, they wouldn't be too far away from Arsenal, maybe 10 points. And I think Liverpool will probably need to aim for top 4, but I think it's going to be a real struggle now, and they had to win that. But for Leeds, I think that is a great win for that. A great draw, and it could have gone either way at the end actually, because Liverpool did have some chances. I think defensively they're just struggling a lot at the moment, and I think defensively Liverpool need to just sort of figure out what they need to do, whether they bring someone in January, because I just think they're really struggling at the moment defensively.
They certainly are. Sophie, thank you. Phil, wow, where do I start with this? Salah's comments then. I mean, I just personally think it's entitled, it's spoiled, and I think it's one of the biggest problems right now at Liverpool. It's self-centred, and I think what Carragher said, which we'll get onto in a little bit, it comes out after, but I think he's spot on. But on Salah, he said what he wanted to say. I think the timing's like ironic, let's just say. I just think it's totally wrong, but don't let me influence you whatsoever. How do you feel about it?
I feel like it's very 50-50, because I agree with you on the part where it's like spoil that behaviour, but then you look at what he's done for the club.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I'm kind of caught on, because he's won nearly every trophy possible with Liverpool, and I don't know if he is their highest goal scorer now. I don't know. I believe he may be. I don't know. But he has done a lot for Liverpool, and he has made a huge name for himself there. Obviously, he was at Chelsea beforehand. He went to Roma. I believe he was at Fiorentina as well. But that's where he's made his name, at Liverpool. And I think the way in which he's gone about it, he's walked up to some random journalist and started yapping for no reason. I'm like, this makes no sense. Like, you just started talking at them. They didn't ask you questions. You just started talking. So this is something that you've wanted to get off your chest for a while. But on that side of being spoiled, just because you've been benched for 3 games
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you can act spoiled. I mean, it's not like it's just him that has been terrible. I feel like if everyone else around him within that squad was giving 100% and playing week in, week out, then there'd be no issue. But, well, there would be an issue, sorry. But it's like he's thinking that, oh, well, I've done nothing wrong, but
Mm.
everyone
Mm.
else isn't. But it makes no sense in my opinion. I think it's very comical timing, ironic timing to come out with this. I mean, the way that they're playing right now is poor. Now having this Slot versus Salah ordeal going on, and Kanate, I mean, with him as well. I mean, it's all over the place for Liverpool right now. They're not in a position that they want to be in. And I think a lot of fans, even myself, thought by this point in the season they'd be running away with it or close to, but apparently not. They're nowhere near where they need to be right now.
They walk the title, then they spend more and go bigger than anyone else. Of course, the Arsenal went big as well. But the point is, they just go huge, and they've not only lost that walk in the title part, they're not even in the title race at this point at all, and they're just not even in the battle for Europe. Literally, at this
They're not
rate,
even in the
of course,
top
things can change quickly.
10,
Yeah,
are they?
no. It's literally floating mid-table, so it's shocking, isn't it? Whatever way you look at it, and confusing. The questions have to be asked. Lewis, for you, Jamie Carragher's comments. Have you seen them? Before I ask you about them, I'm sure you would have seen some bits. You've seen them, right? Okay. What do you make of it?
I think there was 2 ways this is going to go. I'm very 50-50 with the Salah situation. I completely see the side that Jamie Carragher's advocating for, which he's been very entitled and very spoilt, which is a very true possibility. But it's one of those situations we don't exactly know all of the facts apart from some
Yes, you're right.
various news sources. I think if we look at the picture, there are a few rumours which are around that Liverpool planned to sell Salah in January, regardless of what he wanted or not. And that was either due to raising funding or was it a personal issue? We're not going to know. I think Carragher decided to be on the attack. He's done it before with Salah, so he's doing it again. Fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. He has his opinion. I think he's very strong in defending Liverpool rather than Salah as an individual. Obviously, he's got a lot of links with Liverpool. He loves the club, and that's fair. But in my opinion, I'm not sure if it was the smartest thing. He's a very big figure, and if we look at the moment, it's something that's only going to cause chaos. And truth be told, if I want to give my slight opinion on this, so I can just quickly nip it in, I do believe that it will be one of Salah or Slot has to go. And I think given everything at the moment, I think Slot will go, because when have we seen a manager in the Premier League that has suffered such horrible spells and such turn from the fans and pundits and created ugly situations, had that turnaround where they've managed to get everyone back? What managers have really done that? There are a few, of course, but there's very, very, very scarce amount. I do believe Slot will be sacked and I think Salah will stay, but at the moment, this is a very ugly situation.
Absolutely. Sophie, before I get your thoughts, shout out to a couple of people in the comments. I'm trying to say that name, but we'll say Leo Sandley, which is part of the name. Big up to him. He says, showing love from South Africa. Love it. Premier League is reaching South Africa and the podcast. Thank you very much. And Richie says, hi, all. I'm an Everton fan for 57 years. I'm 67, so big up. Really appreciate you coming in. Let us know some of your thoughts on Everton and the wider Premier League right now. Thank you very much, Richie, as well, for coming in. Sophie, for you, if I said to you, let's pretend you're a Liverpool fan for a minute, would you back Slot or Salah? If you had to, almost like keep one, axe the other, which way would it go?
It is so tough at the moment.
I should have said you can say both.
Yeah, it's so tough. I feel quite torn because Arne Slot hasn't done great this season. I think last season, he did good, but he had a very good squad. This season, he's brought in some amazing players and just doesn't seem to be clicking this season. But then I look at Mo Salah and I think to myself, he hasn't started because he just hasn't been good enough. And I think is Salah past his best? Has he still got it? And that's the only thing I'm still torn on. I think with Slot, it's so tough. I'd probably say Salah. I think as we said before, what Salah's achieved at Liverpool, I think maybe he might stay. Slot might leave. With Slot, it's difficult because he won the league last season. That's probably bought him a bit of time. I think if he'd have finished second last season and this season this is happening, I think he probably would have gone sooner. But I think because he's won something, I think he's going to probably stay for a while. But it's such a, like we've all said, it's such a tough situation now because I bet the players feel quite awkward. I know Alisson's come out and said stuff, and it's just an awkward position to be in, to be honest with you, for everyone. So, yeah, I'd probably say I could see Salah staying over Slot, but not by much. It's so tough. I could also see Salah leaving. I just don't know where they go from here because, everyone's had their opinion on it. Like you said, Jamie Carragher's spoken about it. So many people have had their opinions. So it's hard to say as well where we go from here because with Salah saying that so openly, it's such a tough situation right now for Liverpool.
Certainly is. Thank you. Let's move on then to Brighton and West Ham, which ended 1-1. Lewis, what are your overall thoughts? Because I'm sure it will hurt to concede that late, but at the same time, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, mate, you're well entitled to say I am, but I get the feeling you would have taken a point before the game, but maybe not now when you see it and realise couple of minutes away from getting all 3 points.
It's so hard when you're in a relegation fight. It's so painful to see results like these because we've actually lost one game out of our last 6, which I think if you told a West Ham fan that a few months ago, they would have been astonished that we would have the same squad and managed to get that set of results. But this is one of those where against Bournemouth, it felt like 2 points lost. Against Man United, it felt like a point gained. And against Brighton, this feels like a 2-point loss because we missed a few chances throughout the game. I thought Somerville had some golden opportunities. He couldn't put them away, unfortunately. Paqueta came back into the side. I thought he was excellent. And Bowen had an absolutely phenomenal finish. And when you play well so long, for such a majority of the game, and you concede in such late fashion as we did, it's so painful to one. And I have a feeling it was going to come up at some point for a question, so I will answer it. And I have to say, I do think that the decision for the goal is unbelievable how it's been given. I know a lot of fans can complain about decisions and say, this could have happened or that could have happened. But when the universe of football comes to one and we have Brighton fans and rival fans all agreeing that it just shouldn't, it's unbelievable how VAR can admit that it's a handball, yet the goal's not disallowed because it's not in the same sequence of play. It's a rule I'm almost lost for words because we're punished for defending well in that last minute. That handball which is made by Ruta initially, Areola makes a save, and if he doesn't make a save and it goes straight in, it wouldn't have been given, which was what VAR defended by. But because they then got the rebound, took one more touch, and then
Crazy.
had a shot.
Absolutely crazy.
It's astonishing. Not to mention the fact Mavropanos was kicked by the side of his head in the build-up to that goal as well, which wasn't checked by VAR either. And it's one of those, at the beginning of the game, if you told me we were going to get a point against Brighton, I would have been over the moon. Because Brighton's quite a big bogey side for West Ham. But to concede the way we did, we should have got those 3 points. Brighton didn't have a shot on target until the 88th minute. We played Brighton out of the park completely. But I have to sit here and take the point. So what I will say is that we need to take that confidence we got from the game and put it into the rest of them, because we play Brighton actually in a few weeks again because of the way the scheduling works. And I think we'll have them at home. And if we play like that, we put them in the same position, we should be very proud of ourselves, because I think we will get 3 points. Brighton had the chance to be in and around the Champions League spots. I don't want to say top 4. I think it would have been top 5 if they had won. And a team who's been really unbelievable at the Amex, we managed to stop. So I'm going to take the positive I can, but I can't help that deep feeling of how grateful it would have been to have those 2 extra points.
Appreciate that, Lewis. Thank you. Sophie, I mean, that handball decision is absolutely, worthy of discussion. I mean, can you even begin to understand it? There's all decisions, you get those, don't you, decisions in football that you think maybe are subjective or you disagree with, but you do get things like this where you go, hang on a minute, surely as football fans, we've got to come together, in the words of Lewis there, and just call it out for what it is, and it's just absolutely insane.
Yeah, like you said, it is crazy. I think we have seen a lot of bad decisions, for a while in the Premier League, but that was definitely up there as one of the worst. It was really bad. And it's so frustrating as well because, West Ham were really close to getting the job done as well. I think West Ham really needed those 3 points. Obviously, Brighton, have done pretty good this season. They've got some great players and they've definitely developed. But I think for Brighton, they'll be happy. They'll take it. But I think, like I said, the decision just wasn't great at all. And we do have to talk about these things, on platforms, because I think some of the decisions will keep continuing, keep going like this if we don't talk about it. So, yeah, it's really frustrating. I think, I'd be frustrated, to be fair. It's pretty annoying.
Before we come to Phil, I want to flip back to you, Lewis, because there's a question here for you in the chat. That's a big up. And they say, what's your take on Nuno? I mean, as an outsider, Lewis, I think he's doing a great job and can do an even better job. I know you've spoken highly about him. Does that remain to be the same?
For sure. I think one of the things that people look at is one of the generalised football stats is you'll see that since Nuno's arrival, he's had 4 losses, 3 draws and 2 wins. So some people look, okay, he's had a lot of losses. But when you look at the deeper perspective of it, of when he walked into the club, 4 draws I meant to say, by the way, when he walked into the club, he had to figure out the squad. When he did figure out the squad, we had accumulated 3 losses, unfortunately. But since then, we've lost 1 game in 6 when he's actually found that true squad he wants to work with.
Oh, yeah.
I think we need to be impressed with the fact that this is the same squad that Graham Potter had. You'd almost think we'd have a summer window in between. I think he's been that good of a manager for us. The turnaround that he's managed to give these players is a new light. I know Todibo recently spoke out, criticising Potter, saying that he couldn't really see any light at the end of the tunnel with Potter. But under Nuno, he's been given a new life and he looks like a completely different player. And I think that's the Nuno effect that he's managed to bring, which is why I still have, despite the league position and our upcoming fixtures and what it might look like at Christmas, I do believe we've got that fighting spirit to come back. So I think overall, Nuno's a brilliant manager.
There we go. Great question. And thank you, Lewis, for the answer. Phil, let's focus on Brighton then, because they, again, have a really good record at the Amex. They were close to defeat. Can they consider themselves fortunate? And what can they really take away from this game?
I think they're lucky to get a point. I mean, I think that's all that they can really take. I mean, from the way that West Ham played, You wouldn't have expected it maybe a month or two ago, but they have been very good since Nuno came in. And I think Brighton, being the team that they are at home, you wouldn't have expected a performance like that. So to get a point away at Brighton, I think when you look at how the game went, I think for any West Ham fan would be, nah, it's not what we wanted. But before going into it, it would have been brilliant. But after the outcome of VAR decisions, again, another talking point. I just think it's very lucky for Brighton. I think the goal that they got is such a deep dark hole to dive down into, that there's so many wrong given decisions that it just does your head in. So many points of the season, and it's continuous. It's so bad on how these decisions can be made by VAR, and it's been brought in for a reason to get rid of these poor decisions and get everything spot on. And it's not, on some cases, yeah, it's done that, but it's so poor. And as for Brighton, as I said, just a very lucky point for them. I think, as much as I hate to say it, it should have been West Ham's 3 points. I think the way that they played, yeah, brilliant all game, and it just came down to a last minute lack of thought process from VAR to look at that and not give that goal.
Exactly that. Phil, thank you as well for your honesty as well as fan. Fulham then against Palace, the penultimate game that we'll be discussing. It ended Fulham 1, Palace 2. Lewis, I mean, I think Fulham are a strange side, but do you think again that it's the fine margins that cost them? Conceding late, little mistakes at the back, not utilising maybe set pieces enough. That's what I think it is for Fulham. I don't think it's a case of Marco Silva needs to rip up his plans and start again. I just think it is those fine margins. It's the difference between a loss and a draw, for example, in this case.
100%, I've got to agree with you, Harry. There, I think it's the little beauty patches that they've got to, they've got to patch up. Problem they had, I think, against Palace is they would be quite disappointed, actually, I think, overall, considering the fact they were at home, they had a little bit of form on their side. I thought maybe they could have got something. I thought with that excellent Wilson goal, it would have, maybe given them that extra bit of level to get back into the game and get a point, which is so crucial at this stage down below where they are. I mean, a few weeks ago, people were speaking about Fulham going down, but with a win or two, they've picked up that form where they can't keep affording to slip. Similar with the West Ham Brighton game. Imagine it was 1-1 and then Brighton got that last goal. That these points matter at this stage, and I think this could be one that hurts for a while too, because that point could prove to be so pivotal come the end of the season. So I think they'll look to try and patch it up. But as you said, I don't think he needs to rip up the tactics book and start all over. Just fine margins.
Thank you. Sophie, do you think Fulham should be concerned though? Because they don't travel well. Their win against my side Tottenham was, rare example of Fulham getting a result on the road. But the point is they don't travel well generally. This has continued this season. And now they're not getting results at the Cottage either. So that, when you put it that way, is slightly concerning, considering teams below them are picking up points. Could they get sucked into anything uncomfortable?
I think they are struggling this season. I mean, over the last sort of season or two, they have really improved, developed. I mean, we've dropped points playing them, so they have been quite tough. They've got a great group of players, but I think it's sort of a conversation to have about should you be concerned a bit. I mean, I think they've had some good results and they've dropped points again. I think for this one, it's especially when you're at home, you do want to get something out of the game, whether that's a draw. I know Palace at the moment are doing amazing. They're honestly, so high up the table, which is amazing. But I think for Fulham, they need to get more at these sort of games. I don't think they'll be in the relegation zone, but I think if they continue to be inconsistent, I think they're going to probably be a bit lower down. But I think they'll definitely need to worry about staying up. I think they will stay up, but I think, like you said, it puts them in a bit of an uncomfortable position, really.
Yeah, exactly that. That's something they want to avoid. Appreciate that. Phil, in terms of Palace then, I mean, a big result for them hasn't been plain sailing recently. Managers voiced his concerns, haven't always got the result. But Palace look a lot better, don't they, when they haven't played in Europe on the Thursday?
I think it's I mean I agree with you on that. I think that European game is taking the steam out of them a little bit, and them not playing that game has definitely given them some sort of advantage. I mean, they just had the legs in the end, I think, as well as Fulham, even against Spurs, when we played them and unfortunately lost, they did look like they were running out of steam at points within that game, and I think that showed again. But Palace, I think, obviously they've had a bit of a rough patch, as you mentioned, especially against well, they've played that game against United, and I think it's a bounce back. They needed it. They got the 3 points away from home, big 3 points away from home, and they'll push on now, I think. I mean, if they keep this form going, and Oliver Glasner says, right, we're gonna play this way, and if their European campaign ends, which would be sad for them, I think it gives them a real opportunity to then think, right, well, we're out of that. We've still got domestic cup competitions to play in, so we'll push for those instead. I think it will give them a real boost, even though they may get knocked out of Europe. I think for them climbing the table, unfortunately not getting Europa League last season, if they were to get to that stage again and actually get it at the end of this season, I think losing Conference League earlier in the season and then gaining Europa League at the end of the season, I think they'll look at that more as a positive than a negative.
Yeah, no, nicely put that, actually. Thank you. And the final game then, Wolves and Man United. I mean, fairly predictable. But having said that, Man United, we know what they're like. And the joke wasn't they going beforehand, what Wolves get their first win. But Man United win 4-1. I never like to talk badly or put down any team, and whereas well that any supporters of any club could be watching. And this is no dig at Wolves fans, but their side look absolutely shot to pieces. They'll be the first to tell you. Lewis, I mean, Wolves are down and out, aren't they? They're literally, if they weren't already, they're down out and they're drowning and drowning badly. Where do they even go from here? Rob Edwards, when's there a point that he's under pressure or he just steps away for the sake of it? Because there's no sign of improvement. There's certainly not a big enough one to make any impact on a game.
Swan, wow, I'm a bit lost for words, Harry. Even I don't really know what to say. I try to pick out as many positives as I possibly can about West Ham, and I've tried to pick about my side when we've been in relegation. But Wolves, I can't figure out anything. I don't even know how many games they've now lost in a row. They're glimmers. I thought they showed real fight against Villa and Nottingham Forest. I thought they actually, especially Villa, they were really unlucky to not maybe get a point there. And then against Nottingham Forest, I thought they could have had a chance as well. But I thought this Manchester United game really could have been the turning point. It could have been such a crucial moment where, because it's United and you never know what can happen, maybe they could have picked up a little win, but they just didn't, and it just went awfully wrong. And if you look at their upcoming fixtures, their remaining 4 games of this year are Arsenal, Brentford, Liverpool, Manchester United again. And to play Arsenal, Liverpool and United all away from home, I mean, it's bleak. And they don't have that player to drag them out. You saw last year they had Matheus Cunha. He was the one who dragged them out of these moments, and he excelled the players around him. He helped Strand Larsen get that attention he was getting because he was scoring so many goals. You wouldn't even think they still had Strand Larsen, given what he's provided them this season. I mean, it's very, very, very worrying. And I think, 13 points away from the clearest of the next opponent outside the drop zone, it's worrying.
Definitely, that's one way to put it. Phil, I mean, when's there a point that you feel sorry for Wolves fans, and what points tally do you think they can actually get come the end of the season? Realistically, like, if you're totally honest with you, there's no, of course, right or wrong answer, because like Opta supercomputer yesterday predicted the Wolves will reach 29 points in total. That's absolutely insane, and this is, I don't want to say well respected or trusted or anything like that, but it's often not a million miles away, but that just seems wrong.
I mean, how many points are they on right now? I
2.
haven't. 2. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, they ain't getting 29 points. I'll be so
No, they're
real.
not, are
They ain't getting 29 points. It is like that's got to be so gut wrenching for Wolves fans. But I think there is nothing that you can do if you've got 2 points in 15 games in the Prem. You ain't getting, no supercomputer can. That just feels like I've been lied to.
they?
I think
Absolutely.
there is nothing that a manager can do at this point. I think just I know it's the worst case, but drop down to the Championship, get new players in and rebuild it. And even if you don't come back up straight away, take a few years, and then when you're ready, push for it and you'll come back up. They'll do the same thing that Burnley did. It is sad. I mean, considering what Wolves were maybe a few years ago, I remember them competing in Europe in the Europa League, and now they've fallen to such a low that I just, when you said 2 points, yeah, yeah, speechless. That's got to be gut wrenching for Wolves fans. I'll be honest with you.
But if you had to commit, come the end of the season, what number would you give it? You think, I'm going to ask all of you, don't worry. I'll just start with you. I'm going to tell you what, I'll kick it off to make it maybe slightly easier for you. I think 6. I think they win 1, draw 1, and lose every single game apart from that. And even that's probably being bold.
6.
6 for me.
What's the lowest that's ever been recorded in the Prem?
Derby. Is it
Is that
Derby?
12? 11, 12 points?
11, yeah.
11. I think
So I think half of that,
if
really.
if they get, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say 13. I feel like they can't. They're gonna get a few draws along the way, and they'll probably get like 1 or 2 wins, like scrappy wins. So I'm gonna go 13 points.
But Opta supercomputer, it said 19, I would have laughed. But 29, I mean, hey? I don't know where that's come from. I honestly don't know where this, but maybe it's based on XG. Do you know what? It's probably based on XG, because their XG says they should have 12 points on the board, so that makes a little bit more sense. But that shows you that XG, expected goals, is not everything. So thank you for that. Lewis, how many points do you think that they're going to end on, honestly?
I'm gonna try and be positive for Wolves, and I would also like to quickly add a message at the end of it. But the Derby record is 11 points, is the lowest ever. So I'm gonna say to Wolves they'll have to firm the relegation, unfortunately for them. But I'll say 13. But to quickly add on to the point of going down to the Championship and rebuilding, it's an element of where a conversation needs to be held around the owners for the immense lack of investment that Wolves have had as a side. And even when fans are putting pressure on the board, even when they're in the dire situation that they're in, they are still not being heard. And I really feel for Wolves, because I struggle as a West Ham fan with our owners. But the truth is in elements of where we are looking likely to go down, they will spend the money to keep us out, and will pay the price later. With Wolves, that does not happen. And I believe they are in the situation that they find themselves in due to the owners. So I hope that maybe Wolves can experience a thing where they go down, the owners sell up, and they can rebuild and get themselves back into the Premier League, maybe bouncing straight back up if they're lucky. But it's 13 points for me.
Before we finish, I do want to comment on Man United after that, but Sophie, On Wolves, though, how many points do you think they'll end up? Am I being too harsh by saying 6?
No, because they have been really poor this season. I mean, especially against United. They're just, I think defensively, they're just really poor. And like we said, they're on 2 points, which is it's shocking to say. They've not even won a game. But I think, I don't know, I'd say maybe 6 to 9, possibly. I think the Premier League every season gets more competitive. It's so tough. But I think for Wolves, they just didn't show any sort of fight in that second half against United. I think they can show some fight and try and defend a bit better, then maybe they can get more points. But they're definitely going down this season. They've just been really poor.
Agree. Sophie, I'll ask you about Man United. And is that big win and the form looks a lot better in the last 9 games? Have they really, kicked on now under Ruben Amorim? Is his job now safe?
I don't know if it's safe. It's tough with United. I think they've done better this season than what I've expected. I think it's difficult because they'll go on a good run, they'll win a few games, and then they'll draw a few and lose. So I think their problem this season is inconsistency. I think if they can go on a good run, maybe win 5 games or, do something like that, I think that'll do them a lot of good. I think considering how bad United were last season, they just need to go on a good run now. But I think they do a lot better than what I expected, and that win will be massive. To score 4 goals as well will be big for them. Considering the first half, was 1-1, I was interested to see how they were going to fight back. But I think for them, it's a really good performance, and hopefully for them, it will help them with confidence going into the next games up until the Christmas period as well.
Exactly that. Thank you. Any final comments before we wrap up for the podcast? No worries. Good stuff. Thank you all. No, good stuff. Thank you all for coming on. I'll see where you can follow you across all socials. Go around one by one. Lewis, thank you. Firstly, the West Ham fan. Represent West Ham for tonight. Not an easy job, I'm sure. Plenty of times this season. It's a little bit easier now Nuno's come into the club. But where can people follow you on the socials, mate?
You can follow me on Twitter or X, and it's LOUISVANNN.
Great stuff. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very
Sophie,
much.
where can people follow you? No, thank you.
So if you want to find me, I do have my YouTube channel where I talk about Arsenal, the men team and the women's team, which is Gooner Gossip TV. So you can find me there. And obviously, thank you, Harry, for having me on. It's been lovely to chat with you all today as well. So thank you so much.
Great to have you. Also want to say before I come to Phil, big shout out to the chat. A few people in there. Big up to Mike. Says, hey, Harry, Sophie, and everyone else. Had a couple of people in the comments. Yeah, big up here. We've got someone here. You've got Anne Sandal, 7977. So big up to him, and also Richie coming earlier as Everton fans. So representation from a couple of different countries. So big up on Mike. I'm afraid we are ending, but if you are interested, please do go back and listen. This is the FPL. Try again. Premier League. Sorry, Gameweek 15 review. I'll tell you what, we'll be filming the FPL review after that, but I will not jump the gun with that. Phil, thank you so much for coming on as a Spurs fan. And I'm glad to say, for my sake, for your sake, talking about a win. I mean, wow, I just feels rare at the moment. But where can people follow you, mate? Drop your socials. Can you hear us, Phil? Oh, no. It's not a good time for you.
I believe I cut out. I believe I cut out for a second. I'm back, I think.
Right, hear me now? You're good?
Yeah, I didn't catch what you said. I think you cut out as well for me. So.
Socials.
Socials. So obviously on Instagram, that's the main place. Phil647. Just post about like Spurs football in general. Obviously with the World Cup around the corner, there's a lot more that I'll be posting on my story as well about the World Cup. So if anyone's interested, just give me a follow, drop me a message, and if there's any topic within football that you want to have a chat about, I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. And thank you, Harry, for having me on again, and I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank you very much. And yeah, big up to Mike, who is just come in now. So, Mike, really appreciate you coming in. If you want to go back, you're absolutely more than welcome to. We appreciate your support and thank you very much. Remember to come back on Thursday, 8:45 p.m. UK time. So it's Greenwich Mean Time, normal time that will be for the preview show for this weekend. So Game Week 16 preview. I do apologise if you're confused by the time moving earlier. That's because all the Champions League games, European fixtures, of course, that are there. I think we all want to watch some of the games that are on. So thank you for your understanding with that, and thank you for supporting the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast as always. That's enough of me rambling. Thank you so much as always.